Okay, let's go ahead and get started for today. Today the topic is stroke. And last week we worked on what I call the pre-shot routine. And that's tremendously important because if you don't get your body in the correct alignment, then your chances of making a good stroke are limited. And that's one of the things I think we really focused on last time, is how to get your body in a comfortable position. But before we get into all that, we have two new students today, all right? So let's just quickly go around and meet our two new students, and we'll start.
My name is Selena, from Arizona. I liked playing pool when I was smaller. I don't know much of the rules, and it was just always for fun, and I thought it would be interesting to learn it and know the rules and everything. So.
Well, welcome. Yeah, we'll just go around this way.
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm Chuck, just come to help him out.
All right.
I'm Dan.
Dan. Okay, and Dan is new as well. How about your experience playing? Anything you want to learn specifically, or?
Just learn the game.
All right, cool.
Joyce.
Nice.
Nyla.
Steve? I'm Tom.
All right.
JD. Carl.
Carl is also an instructor along with Chuck, and so they're going to be helping us out.
Judy. Crystal. Penny.
Wayne.
All right, great. I think you got the names all down. Now, last time I'm going to do a little review in each class and then go on to new material. But I've been playing for 65 years, I think, or more, and I still work on my pre-shot routine. That's how important it is. And what exactly is that? That's that routine that you follow on every shot that actually puts you in a comfort zone to where you feel like you can make a good stroke and make the ball and all that. Now, everybody has a different pre-shot routine. You know, mine is breathe and relax. Find the target line. Imagine I'm going to play the 13 and stop the cue ball right there. And when I grip the cue, and this is going to be real important with the stroke, it's a very light grip. And when I say that, Dan had the best word I've ever heard. He said cradle the cue. That's exactly what you do. Because if you grip the cue too tightly, you'll notice your hand does this up and down sawing motion. And when I say that, it's like the thumb and the first two fingers gently cradle underneath. And you notice when I take the cue back, my wrist hinges a little bit, doesn't it? That's because, you know, there's no tension. And by keeping the cue level, that's going to allow me to make a smoother, more powerful stroke. So it's not muscling the ball and pool. It's more like finding a relaxed, gentle acceleration. Now, one of the best instruments to watch in terms of the stroke is to just look at one of those clocks, a pendulum swinging back and forth. Now you notice the pendulum swings all the way back, and then it slows down. That's one of the biggest issues with most beginning pool players, is they swing it back and don't even complete the backstroke before they muscle it through. That's a hit or a jab. You know, what is a stroke? A stroke is like a pendulum, where you swing all the way back to a gentle pause, and then allow that transition to be smoothly all the way through acceleration. Now, when you watch people on YouTube or good players and all that, one of the things you notice right away is, hey, they made that look easy. It looks effortless, right? And that's kind of what you want to adapt. But back to the pre-shot routine. Breathe and relax. Pool is a non-tension sport. Square up to the shot. Find your target line. And always remember the hard work is done while you're standing up above the shot. One of the worst things, faults that I see often is people get down and then they're moving around trying to find the target. You do all that while you're standing up and keep your eye lasered in on the target. So in my routine is simply relax, square up to the shot, right toe on the line. And you notice the cue falls right in the line. And then with my bridge hand and my backhand and my left foot all go down at the same time, right on the line, just like that I visualized when I was above the shot. Now that will help give you your correct alignment. Now the main thing to remember about pre-shot routine is if I do get down on the shot and I'm off, stand up and start over. Because you gotta learn to be able to get down on the line in a smooth, accurate way. Any questions about that so far?
You say the left foot lines up with the ball in the pocket, or your right foot?
Well, I use the right toe for me. My right big toe puts everything in line.
Okay.
And it's right on the target line. All right? And that way, my left hand, my right hand, and my left foot all swing down right towards the target. Now the feet don't have to be, turned any specific way, but you want to find what's comfortable for you. When you get down, you should be relaxed. That's why you see so many pool players with various types of stances. Also, which eye is dominant is going to determine your stance. Because if you're left eye or right eye dominant, your head turns a different way, so you can see. So when I'm standing up above the shot, you'll notice real quickly that if you move your head one to the left just a little bit or to the right a little bit, it throws everything off, doesn't it? You want to find that sweet spot right on the target and keep your eye on that. And the whole process of settling into the shot is keeping everything on target. And you notice I did a few warm-up strokes. That's like your rehearsal. And then once you have everything lined up and you feel comfortable over the shot, you simply let it go. Let's go through the whole process one more time. Breathe and square up, breathe and relax. Find your aim point, target. Right toe on the line. Swing down, left foot towards the target. Nice, smooth, warm-up strokes. And you notice even in a shot like that, my Q-tip is long. It looks very relaxed.
And if you notice, feet stay down until the ball hits the pocket. And make it hit the back of the pocket, you know you're doing it right. Stay down.
Chuck just hit the nail on the head. Stay down. And I've already seen it, and that's a tendency we all have because we want to see where the ball's going, right? And you know what? I have that problem. I get in pressure in tournaments and leagues, and I'm so nervous and anxious that I'll jump up on the shot. And the reason why we jump up on the shot is that we're not sure about the shot. That's why that pre-shot routine is so important. All right, stroke. If you want to, as I go through this, go ahead and grab a cue. It might help, just to kind of get an idea. But I guess the first thing I want to point out is that when you're stroking a cue, it's not a hit or a jab or even trying to guide the cue. The relaxation of the grip is probably one of the most important things. Because if your grip is relaxed, and when I say relaxed, it literally hangs down from your elbow, straight down. see so many people starting off rigid like this or like that. It literally hangs straight down like this. And you don't have to cock it one way or the other. That tightens up the muscles, okay? If you have it back like this, that tightens up the muscles. So does this. It needs to be completely relaxed. So when I take the cue back, it's literally going to keep the cue level because my wrist is allowed to hinge just slightly like that. Sure you can see that. If you watch YouTube, you know, like pros playing things like that, it's amazing. They can draw the ball the length of the table with almost no effort. And that's because they've mastered the stroke. And there's three things I want you to learn from this class that I think are great for all beginners. We're going to learn how to stop the cue ball, right? Hit a stop shot. We're going to learn how to roll the cue forward, called a follow shot. And we're also going to learn the section use shot of pool, which is the draw back, which everybody wants to learn that. Now I'll say that the draw shot is probably the most difficult and really does require a good stroke. But to me, when you're learning, the most important shot in pool is the stop shot. And why do you think I'd say that?
Control the cue ball.
Yeah. It controls the cue ball and it also develops your stroke. Because to make the cue ball stop, you do have to accelerate through the cue ball, don't you? And by that, what I mean is, the cue ball, in order to stop after I make the one, has to be sliding along the cloth when it hits the ball. So the further away you are from the object ball, the more difficult that is, and the more acceleration you need. Like here's another example of that. I'll go through my whole routine. You notice I'm hitting it almost directly in the center. And it slid along the cloth all the way to the object ball.
What is the maximum distance you can pull off a stop shot?
You know, that's a great question, because the farther away you are from the object ball, the more difficult it is. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say I want to stop it from this distance now. And by the way, this is drill number 1 in your handout. And I should mention handouts from class 1 over there and class 2 as well. So pick those up before you leave today. Now, if I was in a tournament and I had to make the 10 ball and stop it for position on the 11, well, I would hit the cue ball a little bit lower now. Because I'm so far from the object ball, I need to have a little backspin to start out, and then it'll slide the rest of the way into the 10. And I know that's a little advanced, but, and again, when we're doing these drills, you want to look at every shot as a whole. In other words, doing your pre-shot routine. Because I see too many drills done robotically, where you just pound balls in one after the other. You want to go through your routine on every shot. So this time, since I'm farther away from the object ball, I'm going to hit a little lower. Stay down, Chuck said to the ball.
Is it your speed of stroke that makes it stop, or the
It's-
power of the acceleration, or?
Well, it's the acceleration is crucial because watch what happens. This will answer your question just by showing you this.
Okay.
This time, I'm going to hit the ball below center, but I'm not going to accelerate through the ball. Doing my pre-shot routine every time, swing down. So I'm hitting it well below center.
Okay.
See, it began to roll. See, you have to accelerate enough so that the ball will slide to make it stop. Yeah. Good question.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't phrase the question right. What is the distance that it slides before it starts to spin?
Well, that depends on how much acceleration you go through the ball.
Okay.
Like I could, I've been playing for 60 years, so I can make it slide all the way down the table.
All right, for those of us who
Yeah.
are just working on which end to hit the ball with,
Okay.
is it a foot, 2 feet before it starts to roll?
I wish I had an answer for that, but it depends on how much stroke you impart.
Okay.
Now for you, I would say, since I know you real well and I've seen your game and all that, you would, it would probably start to roll after a couple of feet, 3
Okay.
feet maybe. But it would be relative to the amount of stroke you've imparted on the shot. Now, the lower you hit it, the better your chance of it stopping and not starting that roll. Okay, more on the stroke. Now, I've already mentioned the pendulum, and that's pretty important. Because when you're actually, one of the things I've been giving lessons for a long time, and probably one of the most serious issues that I confront is that people don't finish the backstroke to begin with. Okay? Now, by that I mean you've got to be able to take it all the way back, but you want to do it in a slow, methodical motion. Many people jerk it back to a not all the way back, and then they'll muscle it. Now, I guess one of the best ways I can demonstrate what I mean is I'll do another stop shot. With this one, I'm hardly going to hit with any energy at all, but I'll still make it stop. But watch my backstroke, how it goes all the way back and kind of slows down. Did you see that? It looked like I hardly put any energy in there. But I had the cue all the way back and I accelerated all the way through. Now that's something to learn on all your pull shots. Generally, this is the case that it goes back as far as it goes through, just like a pendulum. Then there's a rhythm to it. There's timing. It's not a herky jerk, muscling. In other words, all these muscles are loose. There's no tightness in it. It's letting it go. In fact, I remember I used to teach some people, and I told them, I said, I want you to imagine you're throwing a spear underhand. Can you imagine what that's like if you had a spear in your hand and you're throwing it underhand? That's kind of what it's like. Notice how the hand is cocked like this, and it's almost like a whipping motion through. You see that? That's what creates the power. Carl knows what I'm talking about. He's seen it for many years. Yeah. Okay, that's drill number 1. And depending on your level of play, have some fun with this. Experiment. Try to see how well you can stop it and from how far. You can use a spot like this, and you can go from different distances. Set up straight in shots from here, and but see how well you can stop it. That'll be drill number 1. and Chuck and Carl will be coming around to help. Now this next one, I know Chuck knows real well. We've been doing this for many years, haven't we? This is another drill that I think can help you with all the things we've been talking about. But the one thing I'd like to emphasize in when you're doing these drills, don't just start hitting balls. Really consciously work on your pre-shot routine and, get feedback from your partner and things like that. Because we're here to learn. Okay, on this drill, we can make it like a little game. I don't know I don't even have a name for this drill, but it's a fun one. Now we're going to put the object ball on the spot like this. And what we're going to do is start out with a simple stop shot. And the goal or the purpose of this drill is to make the cue ball stop adjacent each object ball. All right. Beth, I don't think she like that one. We'll have some fun with this. Anyway, every time you can stop it to your chosen object ball, then you get to take it off the table. And you do this until you get rid of all the balls. So we'll start with a stop shot. Again, pre-shot routine, thing, swing down, nice warm-up stroke. Not good enough. I want to do better than that. See how I came back a little bit? Let's see if I can get it right on the floor ball. Not bad. So we'll get rid of that one. Now, if we want the cue ball to go forward and backwards, I'll give you a little instruction on that. Okay? And I know a lot of you, some of you haven't done a lot of this, but simply when you want the cue ball to go forward to get it adjacent to the 3, what do? You don't need as much stroke because you're rolling the ball. So your pendulum is a lot shorter, isn't it? So to make the ball roll forward to the 3, watch what I do. The tip of my cue is raised up, but you notice my cue is still level, isn't it? But I'm not going to hit this near as hard because I don't need to accelerate anymore. It's a simple roll shot. So it's a short pendulum. Back a little bit, do a little bit. Getting it above center. Fast table. Ooh.
That's another key. You always blame the table.
Yeah.
Never us. It's the table, it's the cue. That's very important.
Carl's right. Pool players have more excuses than Carter has pools. He's right. He's right. Now I'll try to go to the 14. I don't have time to do all this. So just move along. And again, breathe and relax. Go through your routine. Loosey-goosey. Right toe on the line. Swing down. Take your nice warm-up strokes. Oh, that was good enough. All right. Now after you have fun with that, now we're going to learn how to make the cue ball come back. Now some of you I know are going to have problems with this, but we'll go through the basics of it. Okay? Now if I want to draw it just a little bit back to the 7 here, well, you don't need a whole lot of pendulum, but you need to hit it low. Because what creates the backspin on the cue ball is accelerating through the lower part of the ball. It doesn't mean doing that. That's what I see a lot of people doing. It has to stay low all the way through. which is the key. But you don't force the key down. It should be natural and smooth, like that. Not too bad. Let's try a little more to the 15. Wow, you can kind of see how easy it is to overdo it too. Let's try the 6 now. But anyway, just have a little fun with this. It's a very difficult, even for a really good player, to try to control the amount of backspin. But the key on this shot is accelerating through the lower part of the ball. And hitting it, don't be afraid to go low, because if you're chalking your cue, you should be okay. There, that was the best one. And that time I stayed down better. Because I'm watching myself too. When the key comes up in the air too quick, I know it wasn't a good stroke. It needs to stay low all the way through. Any questions about any of that?
To draw it back farther, is it that you hit it lower, or is it again the acceleration?
Well, you're going to hit it low no matter what, but it's the amount of acceleration.
Okay, so just low, you can hit it low, the same spot for each of those, just it's your stroke that it's a
Right,
advantage.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. Now, one thing about draw that I think is confusing for a lot of people is that you think you're hitting it lower than you are. Why do I say that? Well, keep in mind that your tip is rounded and the ball is rounded. So when you're hitting it like this, that's not low. Because it's rounded, the tip is hitting the higher part of the ball. So to really make sure that you're hitting it low enough, you've got to go way down there, about like this. And if you're down there, draw becomes almost effortless. But if you're too high up towards the center, you're going to have a real hard time making it come back. Real hard time. And when you hit it a little bit lower with a more level cue and accelerate through, draw can be almost effortless. See how hard it is? But you don't want to accelerate it all the way through the lower part of the ball without bringing my cue up in either. All right, have some fun with that, okay? All right. Are you ready, guys? All right, before I let you go, let me